She is an Oscar-winning actor who can kick butt just as well as she can crush a monologue from her.
From the wide plains of South Africa to the dazzling spotlight of Hollywood, Charlize Theron's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Her childhood was scarred by violence, tragedy, and a shocking event that could have broken her spirit forever. Yet instead of surrendering, she transformed pain into power, and against all odds, she rose to become one of the most celebrated actresses of her generation. But behind the Oscar statues, red carpet glamour, and billion-dollar blockbusters lies a life marked by scandal, heartbreak, and reinvention. How did a young girl from a remote farm, who once dreamed of being a ballerina, become a global icon and one of Hollywood's most powerful women? This is the untold story of Charlize Theron, her rise, her scandals, her resilience, and her unforgettable legacy. Charlize Theron was born on August 7, 1975, in Benoni, South Africa, a small town surrounded by gold mines and farmland. To the outside world, her childhood appeared rustic and simple, a young girl growing up on a farm with animals, open fields, and the warmth of the African sun. But behind closed doors, her life was anything but peaceful. Her father, Charles, was an alcoholic whose violent outbursts terrorized the household. Her mother, Gerda, tried to shield Charlize, but the atmosphere was heavy with fear and unpredictability. From an early age, Charlize learned that survival often meant silence, composure, and an inner toughness that would one day define her. At the age of 15, tragedy struck in the most shocking way. One night, after years of abuse, her father stormed into the house with a gun, threatening to kill them both. In an act of desperate self-defense, Gerda shot and killed him in front of Charlize. The courts ruled it justifiable, but the event left scars that would never fully heal. For Charlize, this was both a devastating loss and a turning point. Instead of allowing the trauma to consume her, she turned to art as an escape. Ballet became her passion, an outlet for grace and discipline amid chaos. She trained intensively, dreaming of joining the great dance companies of the world. But fate intervened again. A serious knee injury ended her dancing career, shattering her childhood dream. For most, it would have meant the end. For Charlize, it became the beginning of a new path, one that would eventually lead her far from South Africa to the uncertain promise of Hollywood. After the devastating end of her ballet dreams, Charlize Theron refused to give up on a life in the arts. At just 16, she won a modeling contest that took her to Milan, Italy. For a year, she traveled across Europe, posing for magazines and walking runways. But modeling was never her true passion. It was a stepping stone. At 18, she moved to New York City, where she enrolled at the Joffrey Ballet School, still clinging to the hope of dancing. Yet her knee injury returned, crushing that dream permanently. With no backup plan and no clear future, Charlize sank into despair. She had sacrificed everything, only to find herself at a dead end in a foreign country. Determined to start over, she headed west to Los Angeles. With little money and no connections, she lived in cheap motels and survived on sheer willpower. Casting directors often dismissed her, put off by her thick South African accent and her lack of experience. Her breakthrough came in the most unlikely way. One day, while arguing with a bank teller over a bounced check, a talent manager noticed her fiery determination. He handed her his card, offering to represent her. Soon after, Charlize began landing auditions. Her first roles were small and forgettable: Children of the Corn the Three, 1995, and a brief appearance in That Thing You Do, 1926. But they were a start. More importantly, Charlize took acting classes, worked tirelessly on her English, and waited for a role that would finally show Hollywood she was more than just a pretty face. That moment was coming, and it would change her life forever. Charlize Theron's first taste of true Hollywood recognition came in 1997 with The Devil's Advocate. Acting opposite legends Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, she delivered a raw, haunting performance as a woman spiraling into madness. Audiences and critics alike were stunned. Charlize was no longer just a beautiful newcomer. She was an actress with undeniable talent. More roles followed. Mighty Joe Young, 1998, showcased her versatility and family adventure, while The Cider House Rules, 1999, brought her critical praise and positioned her as a rising star. By the early 2000s, she had become a regular presence in major films, from the stylish heist thriller The Italian Job, 2003, to character-driven dramas. But nothing could prepare the world for what came next. In 2003, Charlize took on the role of serial killer Aileen Wuornos in Monster. Transforming her body, voice, and even her face with prosthetics, she stripped away every trace of glamour. The performance was chilling, heartbreaking, and utterly fearless. Critics called it one of the most shocking transformations in cinema history. That year, she won the Academy Award for Best Actress, along with a Golden Globe and a Screen Actors Guild Award. Overnight, Charlize Theron was hailed as one of the greatest actresses of her generation. Far from being a one-hit wonder, she continued to climb. In North Country, 2005, she earned another Oscar nomination, portraying a woman fighting against sexual harassment in the workplace. Then came a new reinvention, the action heroine. Her role as Furiosa in Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015, electrified audiences and cemented her as an icon of female strength. She followed it with Atomic Blonde, 2017, where her brutal fight sequences stunned even seasoned stunt professionals. In 2019, Charlize disappeared into the role of Megyn Kelly in Bombshell, earning another Academy Award nomination. By then, she was not just a star, she was a brand, fearless, powerful, and unshakably authentic. Charlize Theron had conquered Hollywood's peaks, but with great fame came relentless scrutiny, and scandal was never far behind. With fame came a darker side of the spotlight. The most painful chapter of Charlize Theron's life, the death of her father, was often dragged back into headlines. Tabloids sensationalized the story, painting it as scandal rather than tragedy. Charlize, who rarely spoke of it, found herself forced to relive her trauma in interviews, a cruel reminder that in Hollywood, nothing remained private. Her love life also made her a target. Her long-term relationship with actor Stuart Townsend ended abruptly in 2010, after nearly a decade together, leaving the media buzzing about the split. Later, her romance with Sean Penn was one of the most talked-about pairings in Hollywood. Rumors of a broken engagement and whispers of her ghosting Penn dominated tabloids. The breakup was messy and public, and it fed into a growing perception of Charlize as difficult. That image only intensified on set. During the grueling shoot of Mad Max, Fury Road, reports of clashes between Charlize and co-star Tom Hardy spread quickly. Crew members described heated arguments, icy silences, and explosive tension. While both later admitted the pressure of the production fueled their conflict, the scandal cast a shadow over one of her most iconic roles. Professionally, she faced another battle: typecasting. After her Oscar win for Monster, many studios struggled to see past her beauty. She was offered glamorous roles, but not always complex ones. Charlize herself admitted that Hollywood often dismissed her because she was too pretty to be taken seriously. Box office flops added to the narrative that her career might falter. Through it all, Charlize carried a reputation for being uncompromising, sometimes even intimidating. But rather than apologize for her strength, she leaned into it. She embraced the label of difficult if it meant demanding respect and protecting her craft. Scandals may have tested her resilience, but they never broke her. Instead, they became fuel for the next chapter of her career, one defined not by gossip, but by reinvention. For Charlize Theron, survival in Hollywood meant transformation, not only on screen but in life. Rather than run from the scandals, she reshaped her image into something stronger, bolder, and more authentic. Her career pivoted with Mad Max. Fury Road. As Imperator Furiosa, she shed every trace of Hollywood glamour, shaving her head and commanding the screen with raw intensity. The role became more than a performance. It was a statement. Women could lead global blockbusters with grit and power equal to, or greater than, their male counterparts. Atomic Blonde, 2017, reinforced this image, with Charlize performing punishing fight sequences that redefined the female action star. But her reinvention wasn't just about roles. Behind the camera, she launched Denver and Delilah Productions, giving her control over the stories she wanted to tell. Films like Monster and Bombshell proved she was not only a leading actress, but also a producer shaping Hollywood narratives. Off-screen, Charlize dedicated herself to humanitarian work. Through the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project, she championed HIV/AIDS prevention for South African youth. She became a fearless advocate for women's rights, LGBTQ+ equality, and survivors of domestic violence, causes deeply personal to her own life. By the late 2010s, Charlize had reinvented herself into a symbol of strength, resilience, and independence. No longer defined by tragedy or scandal, she was celebrated as a force of nature, a woman who turned pain into purpose and forged her own destiny in Hollywood. Charlize Theron's journey is a story of resilience carved from pain, ambition, and unshakable willpower. From a childhood scarred by violence to an adulthood crowned with Oscars and global recognition, she has proven that even the darkest beginnings cannot overshadow a blazing destiny. Her legacy in Hollywood is defined not just by her performances, but by her fearlessness. She transformed perceptions of female power on screen, embodying roles that redefined what women could be in cinema: warriors, survivors, leaders. Behind the camera, she fought for complex stories, paving the way for greater diversity and representation. Beyond Hollywood, her activism continues to touch lives in her homeland and around the world. To millions, Charlize is more than a star. She is proof that tragedy does not define you. Your choices do. Charlize Theron's journey proves that even from the ashes of trauma, greatness can rise. She is not only a Hollywood icon, she is a survivor, a trailblazer, and a beacon of strength for generations to come. Call to action. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stars and Scandals for more unforgettable Hollywood journeys.